Are you just tired? Tired of being the manager of your child's life? You know, the homework police, the screen time warden, the chore captain? What if I told you there's a way to step back from that incredibly stressful role and become your child's most trusted ally instead? Well, let's explore exactly how to make that shift, starting right now.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with a parenting problem that we all know too well. Then we'll dive into something called the praise and criticism trap. After that, we'll get clear on our true goal, which is self-reliance. Then I'll share the master key, task separation. And finally, we'll figure out your very first step forward. Let's get into it.
First up, let's talk about the parenting problem we all face. And man, that subtitle says it all, doesn't it? Why our best efforts often backfire. Let's tackle that frustration that I know I've felt, and I'm sure you have too, when our best intentions just seem to go completely sideways. I mean, does this sound familiar at all? That feeling of being a project manager for another human being? It's just this constant, exhausting cycle of reminders and nagging and checking up. And honestly, it can leave everyone feeling totally drained and pretty disconnected.
So here is the core misunderstanding, the thing most of us get wrong. We think that by managing every little detail, we're showing love, right? We're making sure they succeed. But the reality, according to this way of thinking, is the absolute opposite. The more we control, the more we actually drain their own internal motivation to do things for themselves.
All of these ideas we're diving into, they come from this incredible book, The Courage to Not Discipline. It's written by Ichiro Kishimi, who also co-authored that huge bestseller, The Courage to Be Disliked. So if you've read that book, you're going to recognize this powerful and really freeing philosophy at work here.
Okay, let's jump to our next section, because this is where it gets really interesting. We're going to talk about the praise and criticism trap. We're about to dismantle two of the most common tools in our parenting toolbox, and you might be really surprised to find out why both of them are, in the end, a trap.
This all comes down to a core concept they call the vertical relationship. Just think about it. Whether we're saying good job or that was bad, we're putting ourselves above our child. We're acting like a judge who hands down a verdict. And this dynamic, over time, teaches them to constantly look outside of themselves for either approval or disapproval.
The book gives a perfect example. Imagine you praise a child for being quiet on the bus. What do they learn? They learn that being quiet gets them a reward. So what happens later when they see some trash on the sidewalk and nobody's around to praise them for picking it up? Well, the motivation just isn't there, because the action was never about an internal value. It was all about getting the praise.
And this quote, wow, this one really flips everything upside down. The point here is that criticism often doesn't actually stop the behavior. For a kid who's craving attention, even negative attention is way better than being ignored. So paradoxically, the criticism itself becomes the reward, and it reinforces the very thing we're trying to stop. Okay, so if praise and criticism are traps, then what are we actually supposed to be aiming for? Well, this brings us to the true North Star of this whole philosophy. We want to foster genuine self-reliance. It's about moving past simple obedience and towards real empowerment. And the book defines self-reliance with three really important conditions. This isn't just about them being able to tie their own shoes. It's way deeper. It's about 1, their ability to make their own choices. 2, their ability to judge their own value without needing a gold star from somebody else. And 3, their ability to escape self-centeredness and see themselves as part of a community.
Kishimi shares this beautiful, simple memory. He asked his mom for permission to go play with his friends, and she just said, "You can decide that for yourself." And in that one moment, she handed him ownership of his own life. It's such a powerful shift, right? From seeking permission to actually taking responsibility. This quote really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Self-reliance isn't about being better than everyone else. It's about knowing your own intrinsic worth, totally separate from all the competition and comparison. It is a deep, internal kind of confidence. So let's apply this to a super simple, everyday moment. Think about this. You tell your kid to wear a coat. Your intention is 100% love and care. But what's the underlying message? Is it possible that what you're subtly telling them is, I don't actually trust you to manage your own well-being? It is a really challenging question to ask ourselves. Okay, so if we're not supposed to be managing and controlling everything, what do we do instead? Let's move on to the most practical and powerful tool in this entire book. This is the master key for putting an end to so many of those daily conflicts.
The concept is called task separation, and it's actually incredibly simple. For any issue, you just have to ask yourself one question. Who ultimately bears the consequences? That person owns the task.
So, homework. Who bears the consequence of it not getting done? The child. Therefore, homework is the child's task. Our task as parents is simply to be available for support if they ask for it, not to manage it for them.
This applies so perfectly to the battlefield of homework, right? The book is crystal clear. Learning is the child's task. When we interfere by nagging, by reminding, by checking their work uninvited, we are taking over their task. And this not only creates conflict, but it also tells them, hey, this isn't really your responsibility, it's mine.
And here's another one of those really challenging quotes. That phrase, "I'm telling you this for your own good," can sometimes just be a mask for our own need to control the outcome, to dominate the situation. It's about checking our own motives. Are we truly helping, or are we just interfering?
Okay, here is where this concept really comes to life. Your kid calls from school, totally frantic because they forgot their art supplies. Option A is interference. You drop everything and rush them over. What's the lesson they learn? Someone else will always fix my mistakes. Option B is task separation. You sympathize, but you don't rescue them. They have to face the natural consequence. The lesson? I am responsible for my actions. It's so much harder, but that is how true learning happens.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. We've seen the problem, we've seen the traps, and we have the master key. So now, let's bring it all together and talk about how you can actually start putting this into practice. So the path forward is really about these three key shifts. First, we have to escape that praise and criticism loop. Second, we have to make self-reliance our ultimate goal. And third, we use that one simple question, whose task is this, to untangle our responsibilities from theirs and give that ownership back to our kids.
If you're going to do just one thing after listening to this, please try this. It's a really simple language shift. Instead of an accusatory you statement like, why didn't you do your homework? Switch to an I statement. Say something like, I see the homework isn't done, and I'm worried you'll be stressed tomorrow. It expresses your feelings, which is your task, without taking over theirs. It opens a conversation instead of starting a fight.
And let's end with the core, liberating message of this entire philosophy, but spoken from the child's perspective. Our children do not exist to fulfill our dreams or meet our expectations. They are on their own journey. And our job is not to manage that journey, but to support the traveler.
So what's a simple change you can make tomorrow? Try shifting your language. Instead of a judgment like, good job, offer a simple connecting thanks. Instead of giving a command, try asking a question. These small shifts, letting them face the consequences, trusting their judgment, this is how we stop being the managers and start being the allies they truly need.